the end of our last video, we created, we got all of our sprites here. We created the start page. This one is going to look a little different than my other one, but it's the same concept. So when I click the green flag, here's my start page. On some of you guys, it could be the start button. I click here, my two characters show. Now I need to label my characters. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on my first one here. And I'm going to come to costumes. I have a single costume right now, and I'm going to duplicate this, and I'm going to call this player choice. I know that sounds crazy. I can't think of another name right now, but this one is going to be the costume I choose to go up here. What I want to add is the name underneath. I didn't want this part of my instruction sprite. I wanted this part of this sprite just for here. Now, I on this project that I'm using as an example, I have a blue background, so I'm going to have to change the color of my letters. I think I'm going to make it simple. I'm going to go with black. And then I'm going to come here. All right. All right, I'm going to put his name here. I'm going to click just like I normally do, and my guy is Bob, Bob the Alien. And then I want this to kind of line up underneath there. See how that's all wonky there? Because I changed the, but you have to do a little bit of playing around. This is how my sprite looked when I brought it in here. So I am going to work here. Click this. I'm going to rotate it right now. All right, until I make it straight.
I forgot. It's not letting me change the song. This is not letting me click on the stuff.
Right. I'm going to type this in real quick. Hold on. This is my 90 degrees. This is like the standard 90 degrees, which is showing mine at an angle. So I'm going to relocate this. And actually, I'm going to undo all of this. I'm going to show you this. Sometimes this is what happens when you're trying to work on things. It's not working out right. I'm actually not going to change his angle because I'm going to program him to change when he's doing different things. So that's something I'm going to do later. So right here it says Bob the Alien. So that's good. That's what I wanted to say. Player choice, because this is going to pop up on player choice. So I'm going to label this, relabel it to say Bob.
I don't have to go for those.
No, you may have different ones.
I just have one for my alien. See, look. I just have one custom for my.
All right, now I'm going to come over here to Dot. Dot's my little dog. He's my space dog. Now, Dot has a lot of different costumes. I'm not going to necessarily use all of these, but I don't want to delete them. I had already, on mine, I duplicated Dot, then I flipped him because I wanted him to face this way when he's doing that. Now,
So
I'm going to be doing something different.
Thing, like we did today?
When I paused it, the question was about naming. You're going to have to name both your main characters. So I'm going to duplicate this one more time because when he's here for the main character, I want him facing a certain way. So I'm going to call this one Dot Player Choice. If anyone has a better way to label that, you can. Because this other one, this is Dot, and I'm going to call it Dot Right. Okay, right face. And I'm going to call this one Dot Left Face, not Start Dot anymore. Because when I create my game for Dot, he's going to be going back and forth on here. It's going to have something else dropping down that he's got to take care of. And I'll go over that in a little bit. So now I'm going to go on the Dot Player Choice. I need to scroll out a little bit. I need to do my text. I'm going to do this one in black also, just because I want it to be consistent. We've got dot, the space, dog. And then I am going to move this over until it looks like it's kind of centered here. And I'm going to actually, since this is already highlighted, I can use my arrow keys and I can just make it go all, I can just keep moving it until I like where it's at. So there it's go. Now the only thing I would do different, if I wanted this stuff to flash when it's on there to make you want to choose this character, I wouldn't have done it on the costume. I would have made this a separate sprite all by itself to flash underneath there. So now, when I receive show players, I've got to switch costume to not just left face. I got to switch costume to dot player choice. I need to tell the spaceship when I receive show players, I need to have the costume player choice. Now on the other video, I think we had called this, I called this something different. You're going to have to think about how I might use a term in one class. It could be a little bit different in another class, but it means the same. Because when we clicked on this, it broadcasts a message show players. I think in my other video, we said broadcast show instructions. It might sound a little different, but you have to think about, are we doing the same thing? I'm going to test it. So I got this, and there's their name. Now, it's not completely lined up right now. I'm not going to freak out about that. That is something I can tweak a little later. All right, one thing I noticed here that I need to add that I talked about in the other video is I want to add music later, but I don't want to search through all my music right now, so I've got that note here. But I am going to bring over the green flag, and I'm going to bring over a forever block, and I'm going to bring over a play until done block. But I'm going to put it right here. I'm not going to plug it in because that's not my song, but it's here to help remind me I need this. Now, one of the things is, when I have beginning of the game music playing, it needs to stop after my players show up. So when I'm not going to probably stop it right here. We're going to have our two players show and our instructions. I am going to send a message that once they click one of these two, when a player's click, it's going to broadcast a message to stop all. That's when I'll tell this to stop. It might be slightly different on the other video, but we'll get to this.
Promise, don't change. I'm trying to run away from my room.
So the one other thing we need is we need to come over to choose a sprite. We need to paint a sprite. I'm going to relabel this player instructions. And I'm going to even change the costume name to player instructions. Now the only thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to just say this. You can copy this up here. I'm just going to put it here. I'm not going to even type in. No, it's not going to let me. I'm not going to type in everything. I'm just going to say player instructions here. And I'm going to come back and do that later when I'm working on it. But it doesn't even matter what it looks like because I'll change it. I'm just going to get it here where it's kind of working. Make it a little smaller because I don't want it into my dog. So that's what he's telling me. I don't want to go much bigger than this because my instructions are going to fall in the middle of my screen. And I know it's like this. All right. So I'll come back and I'll put all the information because I haven't coded these. I don't know what keys I'm going to use. I'm not going to figure all that stuff out. When on the coding, what it's going to have to say, it's going to do the same thing like with my player here. When I receive show players, I'm going to tell it to show. I'm not going to worry about the XY location yet because I got to type it out first before I do that. So when the green flag is clicked, my player instructions are going to high because they have to click the start button. but I know it's going to show in a moment. Now, when I receive the broadcast message, just like for these two, I'm going to show. So that means when I receive show players, it's going to show. Sometimes in the past, I've done things where these flip colors, but I've learned that it makes it difficult to read to do that. So I'm just going to have when I receive player show, I'm going to have to tell it to hide and to really just have to hide until it to stop when I receive the message based on which one this is. I'm not going to bring that over yet. I'm going to add a comment block that says need to, let me do message
Do we supposed to
receive.
add that comment block?
Yeah, I'm doing it to help me remember because this is telling me I'm going to need two receive message blocks once a player is selected or clicked on. So this code will hide and shut down. I probably wouldn't forget that necessarily, but I might because that'll be the next thing we do. Now, so I'm testing it all. Click the green flag. We're going to pretend we hear music. We're going to see this. I'm going to click on one of these two, and everything else will hide. Now,
Don't change.
this one's going to be kind of a quick video. It's just for those things. The next video will talk about what happens when you click a player, how you'll tell the other one to turn off. Remember, sometimes my broadcast messages might sound a little different from one video to another because I'm using different projects to get through this.
Like this
Go back and rewatch when you need to, and this will be number 2.